Good morning. I'm at FreeTown Farm. It's actually icing out. And I'm going to show you how to build a tent to go over your seed starting station in your greenhouse. If you have a large greenhouse, it's easier to heat a small space than it is the entire greenhouse. This is what we're going to build today. Basically plastic over the table where I'm starting my seeds. A little tent, heater inside. We'll keep this space warm. Don't need to heat the entire greenhouse. Save money. Get your transplants sooner, get your seeds started sooner. You want to get seeds started. It's been 3 weeks, they're not germinating, and that's because it's just too cold. So we're going to use a radiator heater, oil filled, and just build a tent to go around the seed starting area. All right, let's get started. We've been making changes inside, getting ready to really grow our transplants, move bigger plants over there for the plant cell eventually. We're not growing back there yet. It gets too cold. Ice will form in here. When you have a greenhouse this size, you could put in heaters and you could heat the whole space if you're going to be using it all. We're not. We just really want to get the seed starts going. But they've been sitting there since, I think there is a date on there, January 15th. It is the 10th of February. They're just not germinating. It's too cold. Basically, we're doing a glorified winter sowing and they're just sitting there. The bottom line is if you don't have a heat source and it's below freezing, and it gets into the 20s Fahrenheit, your greenhouse is going to get so cold that you can't do your seed starts. Bottom line. So how do you deal with that? Rather than heating this whole house, this is budget friendly. This is a oil-filled radiator heater with a thermostat. That's what I recommend. 1500 watts. I'll show you how to set that up in a bit. This is one table that's going to get covered in this, I think this is actually 9mm plastic, same that was used for the greenhouse. You want at least 4 millimeters. You want it to be thick, easy to work with. It's not going to tear. So we're going to roll that out. We'll set that up in a second. A couple of 2x4s to build the top part of this table up about 12 inches so that the plastic just sits over it. Heat collects there because heat rises and it keeps the seed starts warm. Extension cord. You may need an extension cord. Make sure you get one that is for outdoors. You don't want to mess around with electricity. So how do you do it? Here's the space we're going to do. We're just going to do one table. This table is 8 feet long, 51 inches wide, and it's 38 inches high. About 3 feet high, about 4 feet wide. So we're going to need material to go 3 feet up, 4 feet over, 3 feet down. That's 14 feet right there. I'm sorry, that's 10 feet right there. And then we're going to want to raise it 12 inches. So we'll need 12 inches of material on this side, 12 inches of material on that side. So that's going to be a total of 12 feet of plastic so that it starts and touches just about the bottom there, comes up 12 inches high. It'll go across 4 feet and then back down 4 feet. Why is that important? You could, put the plastic right over this for germinating, but you may need to use this when the seedlings, the transplants are growing, so I recommend at least 12 inches high. We're going to just cut some 2x4s to put some supports right here, around here, to keep the plastic off of there. And that's all we do. Now, down the back side, since we have 8 feet going this way, 12 inches up, about 3 feet down, we're going to want 4 feet, 8 feet, 12 feet, 16 feet. I'll re-talk about that, or I'll explain that again as we're getting going. But we're just building the tent so that it's big enough to cover the table, basically, with 12 inches up top and drop to the bottom. The heater will go under there, thermostat will come on, this area will stay warm while the rest of the greenhouse is below freezing. So the first cut is the length of the table. This is 17 feet. Table is 8 feet wide, or long. We have 8 feet right in here. It's going to go up 12 inches on each side, so that's 1 foot. And then I have the other material for 4 feet going down the right side, 4 feet going down the left side. You want to cut it a little bit bigger than you might need. So basically 4 feet to there. Actually, it's about 3 feet. A foot up, 8 foot across, and then down. And that's enough material to cover the table that way. Going this way to the back and to the front, this should be wide enough, but if you can't find plastic that's wide enough, you can duct tape two pieces together. Duct tape is your friend. So let me cut this and get it set up. So I have 12 feet of plastic from top to bottom there. That's 144 inches. Now the measurements are going to change based on your table size, how high it's off the ground, and everything like that. So it's really important that you measure twice, cut your plastic once. There's a mistake I already made. For some reason I did 12 feet by 8 inches and I thought I only had 96 inches of material. But it's 12 feet of material times 12 inches, so I have 144 inches of material to come up the front, go across the top, and down the back. And I was saying that I wanted to have 12 inches of space right here. Well, I don't have enough material for that. I would need 151 inches, and I don't feel like cutting extra plastic. So I'm going to deduct 6 inches. So, well, I'm going to make it only 6 inches high to here, so it's 6 inches less material on this side, the other side, and that will bring me down to the 144 inches I have. And the reason being is 6 inches is fine. It will hold the heat. By the time these really do get 4 inches, 5 inches tall, it's going to be warm enough in here, so I don't have to worry about having a foot of space. But you might, depending on what zone you're in, so you want to pay attention to that. So now that the plastic is out, I'm going to build some basic supports to go into 4 corners, and then one right there and one right there. That will keep the tent above the seeds. So I would say that my carpentry work is never pretty, but gardening is not a beauty contest. You just do what is functional. You can use cut wood just like this, use scrap wood, use whatever you want to keep the plastic above your seed starts. Now you may want different heights. These are more the 6-inch version. Actually 7 inches because they're on the 2x4. My only tip is when you're building something similar to this is you just want to have the base longer, heavier, so that it's not so much top heavy. For example, over here, the shorter piece is there. There's more weight on the bottom versus doing it this way. That would probably be okay, but then it's top heavy and it's gonna flip over pretty easily. So you definitely want at least 4. 2 on the corners, 2 on the corners over there, and then a mix in the middle. These are taller. This will just keep the tent up higher. You may need something like that because I'm doing seed starting, but maybe in your area they started fine, but you get a week of cold coming in and you want to protect your transplant, so you're just going to need something taller. It's okay if your plastic comes up off the ground, because the heat from the heater, we'll talk about that at the end, is going to rise. So even if you have a gap down at the bottom, it may not be as efficient, but the cold air is going to stay down here, the heat from the radiator is going to go up, and it's going to get caught all under here around your plant. So you're going to be okay. Again, all my measurements, crazy, but I just wanted to show you the principles of what you have to account for when you're cutting the piece of plastic. Alright, well that is the principle for the design. I mean, how many of you thought that this was not going to work? I did have my doubts. The whole key is to really make sure you measure it in a way that you have enough plastic to come to the bottom. If you have a little bit of a gap, that's okay because heat rises. Raise it to the height you want for seed starts or for transplants, and then the heater will go right in there. I'll show you how to do that at the end. If you cut it right, this is a rectangle, you can wrap it like a present. You just tuck it in to a triangle and then I will duct tape it there. It'll be secure, but it's going to do everything that I want it to do. This is a radiator radiating heat. It's filled with oil. They're going to be different, so it doesn't matter how I show you to set this, but they'll have different ratings, different settings. So this is a 1500 watt heater, which I recommend getting that, and this can be set at 700 watts, 900 watts, 1500 watts, and then that's the thermostat. You just want to set the thermostat so it comes on at the temperature you want. Will keep your seeds warm to germinate, or it will protect your growing transplants from frost. That's all you really need to do. Now, a couple safety issues. Take your heater out when you're watering. You don't want water dripping down from the top onto here or around electricity. Water, let it dry, let the dripping water go away, put the heater back under there. So let me just get this set up and then I'll show you how I place the heater in there, and I think we're done. Again, this is about the principles. You of course don't have to follow me exactly, but I think you get the idea. So a 1500 watt oil radiating heater is really for a room. Now, if your greenhouse maybe is just this size, you could just put a heater in, let that run. You know, and it all depends on your budget. I prefer doing it this way because we're just focusing on the seed starts. So in this space of 8 feet, about 4 feet high, I don't need to set this to 1500 watts. I mean, you could, but I'm going to put it down to 700. That should be enough to keep this space warm. If I was covering maybe 2 tables, I'd go to 900. If I was doing 3 tables or something, you know, bigger, I'd go to the 1500 watts. But because you have a thermostat, when it reaches a certain temperature, it's going to shut off and it'll come back on when the temperature drops. Just to give you a look, the back has the plastic all the way down there, sealed to the floor. That's all you want. Put your heater on something level. And remember, these are for houses, so you know they are safe. You should get a heater that if it tips over, it shuts off. You definitely want that. And then wherever the extension cord in the plug you're meeting, make sure it is above the water level. Water doesn't pull in there. This is an outdoor extension cord. You definitely want that. But that's basically the setup. You know, this will keep this area warm. I will be able to germinate seeds in the dead of winter here in Maryland, and things will be just fine. Hope you enjoyed the video. Please check out my seed shop at therustedgarden.com, and we're looking to build another greenhouse at FreeTown Farm, and I will put donation links if you want to help us raise money. We are at about $5,000 to $15,000 I'm trying to raise. Thank you all that have already supported that cause. But this is a great way to build a tent over your seed starts inside of a greenhouse, save money on heating, get your seeds germinated, get your transplants early.